Alrighty, episode number 18. It is a significant review as the NAPA Auto Parts 150 or 175 presented by Ineos is really up for debate because last year it was initially 150, but in reality it was 175. The entry list shows it as 175, but on the NASCAR Home Tracks website shows it 150. Let's just call it the race at Evergreen while at it. But yes, this is the preview for the upcoming race at Monroe, Washington. That's going to be a critical point to this championship trail. But the title chase is not really the biggest story going into Monroe. The biggest one is actually the implications of the Can-Am East title and one team officially gone for the remaining of the season for the time being. So let's talk about the big one, the Can-Am East title chase. If you look at the entry list, it only shows Hailie Deegan as the only one doing the double duty, meaning she'll be at Bristol for this Thursday driving for DGR-Crosley. Yes, indeed, the top team in the East from a year ago. She's going to be driving Drew Dollar's number 54 IK9 Toyota, hoping this is the breakthrough race she deserves and needs. Depending on how you view it, she needs this good run at Bristol. No question about it. This is a DGR car we're talking about, which just has a little bit more power, a little bit more motor when it comes to E/combos. This will be a good momentum booster if she does really well. Remember, Bristol, last time she was there, it was a complete nightmare. That was the end of the great duo she had with the driver crew chief with Mr. Kevin, that no longer is with the crew. That was now is Kyle Wolasek as the crew chief. And then, of course, the car had engine problems upon engine problems upon engine problems. And then, of course, the battle with Brittany Samora that ultimately just ended after she had Deegan had problems. She's currently 10th in the East Championship standings. She's probably going to end up there. But this is the big one. This is a big one for her. She has to deliver in that DGR car. Because that could be a sign that come 2020 or 2021, that DGR ride may be open for in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Or for the Stock Car Invitational. Whatever it may be. This is a big circle. And then, 2 days after Bristol is indeed the race in Monroe, she needs to have a phenomenal run. There's no question about it. At this point, she has to win the race. When you look at the entry list, this is a big opportunity for her. More than I expected, because with this one certain team no longer in the picture, I thought the car count was going to be awful. But it's a modest 16-car field for now. There's 2 that are to be determined, and one of them is a Jefferson Pitts is the main one, the 7. Obviously, when I announce my big deal in a moment, we'll know by then who's going to be in the 7. Anyways, Deegan, if she does not do well, you can pretty much give the title to Derek Kraus at this point. Kraus will not be driving at Bristol. He will not run the Can-Am East race at Bristol, which is essentially the 16 car. And understandably so, because logistically it's a nightmare. Unless they were able to bring if they could pull a 2-halter show, bring one 16 car to Bristol, Tennessee, and another one to Monroe, Washington. That would be a nightmare. Living nightmare, especially when the next race for the Can-Am West is the second and final combo race of the season at Gateway, a race that I'll be at. So yes, we're not done with these championships. We're not done with covering Can-Am West stuff under my own will on site. Sure, Sonoma, you didn't really saw it much other than the photo changing, if you haven't noticed. Last year's the first couple episodes, it was the one from Monroe last year that I took. Now you're seeing the one with Jagger Jones' batter car ahead of Hailie Deegan and Dave Smith in the 35, which ran at Watkins Glen. Except it was not Dave Smith. I believe it was John Wood at Watkins Glen. And speaking of Kraus, he did not have a good showing at Watkins Glen. The race was won by Max McLaughlin in a weather-shortened race. Yes, weather-shortened race indeed. McLaughlin was the guy who got into Kraus that cost him the championship lead in the East and ultimately the end of his championship trail because now he's going to focus on the West. Sure, he'll be back at Gateway because of the combo race, but the championship trail, the possibility of being the undisputed king of the regionals to win both East and West is essentially over. Unless we have some great car counts in those East races, or vice versa, or the combo, which no science says it's probably going to be the same, about 20 cars, and that's it. He's going to have something go wrong with Sam Mayer, and it's not going to happen because this is Bristol. We're talking about where he eviscerated the competition in the spring. Then you need to have Chase Caver to have problems. You need to have everyone like Tanner Gray and all this have a string load of problems. And that's not going to be easy. You cannot dictate it. Luck has got to be on his side if he really wants to have any more shot of the East. Let's just say the East title hopes is done for, which is kind of a shame. But it's more of a logistical sense to focus on that West Championship, about which you're in the championship lead. Had he not had that incident at Iowa, sure, he finished 4th. But if he had not had this issue and he actually won the thing, this would have been more complicated and more stunning. But now that he's starting the points, 12, 13 markers behind, it's not feasible anymore, which is a shame, because the East race is they're running at Bristol. It's the only K&N Pro Series track they run more than once. With, of course, Bakersfield is only one race this year in the West. So yes, Deegan will run both K&N races. Kraus will not. Brittany Zamora will be doing double duty. This is Zamora's home track, and I mentioned several episodes ago, if there's one race that I think and feel Zamora could get that maiden win, it is definitely Evergreen. Home field advantage, she has done good. She's done pretty good. Sure, the past month has not been good. The engine problem with Sonoma that essentially eliminated her from winning Rookie of the Year over Jagger Jones. Then Iowa, she was completely non-factor. Not of her own fault, but the races that those are the ones that cost her dearly in the championship trail to be competitive and maybe up there for Kraus. This is going to be a big deal for her. She's got to do well here. No doubt about it, she's got to do well. Because I could believe Zamora could be as good as Deegan. When she's the competitive and has so strong. She put on a strong show at Tucson. Let's not forget. She did something that Deegan has honestly not done yet. And that is put on a strong, considerable, contending winning campaign. Sure, she didn't win at Tucson, the second one where she started on the pole because she set the fastest lap during race number 1. But she held on really, really well. Really well. That was the breakthrough race for her. She hasn't had one since. She's done pretty well, but she hasn't had one since. Oh, and then Colorado when Kraus and Zamora got into it, but yeah, that's the other one. She's got to do well here. There's no reason for her not to do well here. There's no reason that she could not be a winner. She's driving the 99 car where 2 years ago, Chris Eggleston, wire to wire, led the race and won at Evergreen in that 99 car. A year ago, DGR-Crosley was on his way to probably winning at wire to wire, but then an engine problem happened and eliminated him from the fight, and that led to Derek Thorne, his final K&N West win en route to the championship. And that was pretty much the turning point in that title. That win in Monroe pretty much put him well ahead of everyone, over Ryan Partridge, over Cole Rouse, Derek Rouse, whoever. That was the race. That pretty much essentially locked up the championship. Could Kraus do the same thing? I believe he can do so. He's done it. Look at Iowa. Resiliency. He had a hell of a show. Hell of a turnaround. Sure, he got the free pass, but that's part of the game, but he bounced back really well. If it wasn't for the West, he was the driver of the race, the West overall. Now, looking back on it, he was the man. Sure, Jagger Jones was the best overall, consistent-wise, before the Sunrise Force decided to take themselves out of the championship chase at this point. Kraus with that top 5. That helped them in the West title. The East had buried him because of the drivers who finished ahead of him. Kraus, Gibbs, and, of course, Sam Mayer, who won, and Jagger Jones were the guys. They were no doubt the guys. Speaking of Sunrise Ford, and I mentioned about Derek Thorne winning last year, Jones is another one that's looking for that elusive maiden win. Remember, He came up short of winning Vegas. He was this close to winning it in his debut. No, wouldn't that have been something? He had a great run at Sonoma. He was probably the best of the West regulars. No question about it. Then the whole thing with, oh man, it's slipping through my mind. Jim Englebright. This one, I expect him to do well as well. Like I say about every race about Jagger Jones stuff at this point. But Trevor Huddleston is one to keep an eye on. He is the only driver to have finished in the top 10 in every single race. Sure, top 10s don't matter in the West. In the grand scheme of things, it's just all about top 5. So with that being said, here are the championship standings. Championship trail. After 8 rounds, Derek Kraus has a 16-point advantage over Haley Deegan. Trevor Huddleston sits in third, 23. Behind Jagger Jones is 24. Brittany Zamora, 61 markers behind. As I mentioned time and time again, it's pretty much become a 4-person race. Maybe now Kraus is to lose. 6 is Todd Sousa. 7th, Matt Levine. Big question on Levine in a moment. Travis Milburn in 8th. Also a big question. Cody Vanderwall in 9th. And Takuma Koga's round out the top 10. And why am I saying big questions for Levine and Vanderwall? That is because when you look at the entry list, there are no Levine Racing cars. There were none in Iowa. Essentially, Levine Racing is done for this season. And I'll explain why based on what I've read through NASCAR.com in pertaining to Vanderwall. Here are the entry list. It's 16 cars with 14 confirmed who will be driving. The Camry car. Hopefully, it is the Camry car. Bobby Hillis Jr. will be making the trip to Washington. Jagger Jones in the 6th. The 7th car from Jeff Jefferson does not have a driver at this moment. A year ago, it was one of those drivers from the state of Washington, Tyler Tanner. And Tyler Tanner and Haley Deegan had their moment in the closing laps. That didn't end so well for either of them. Would he make the comeback? Who knows? Time will tell, as I'll explain shortly. Travis Milburn in the 08. Trevor Huddleston in the 9. Todd Zeus in the 13. Derek Kraus 16. Haley Deegan 19. Devin Dodson, a couple of weeks removed from driving with the Reum brothers racing in the NASCAR Nationwide Outdoor Truck Series at Eldora. He'll be in the 2nd Jefferson Pitts car, or number 27. The 34 is to be determined with the Joe Rogan car. Taylor Canfield will also make the trip, listed in the Joe Rogan car. Josh Fedalopoulos. That's an interesting name that I still have a hard time to pronounce properly. He drove at Iowa. He'll be in a 37. John Wood in a 38. He drove at Watkins Glen in that Dave Smith backup car. He is listed as a Chevrolet with a sponsor yet to be determined. Takuma Koga in the 77. Koga and Sousa would like to move away from a year ago after those two had a bad moment that involved a big crash that took them out, took Will Rogers out. Rogers finished 12th in the Brandon Build Motorsports car at Mid-Ohio. And yes, he's finally made an Xfinity start on the road course. And did pretty well. Could have done a lot better, though. But he had his couple moments, but it's a respectable and what I expect him to do in the Xfinity Series on the road course. Good for Brandon Build Motorsports and giving him a shot. Okay, back to wrap up the entry list. Speaking of Koga Sousa, the crew members had a huge confrontation. They were not happy. Basically, nobody were happy other than Derek Thorne because it was just bad weather, anger, tempers flaring, crew members confronting, throwing expletives at Koga. I almost said Coogan, like if it was Kevin Kogan. Go look up AJ Foyt, Kevin Kogan, 82 Indianapolis 500 for the reference of why people say Coogan instead of Kogan. Anyway, Jack Wood in the 78 and Brittany Zamora in the 99. She'll be running double duty because after the race at Evergreen, NAPA Auto Parts 150 or NAPA Auto Parts 170, I'm just going to go with the NASCAR site and what it says, NAPA Auto Parts 150. Back in the day, it was the 500 lap race. I think it was the Motorcraft 500. All I can recall is Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Derek Hope won that race. And also Chad Little, when he was the ruler of the West, the good old 19 Coors car, the 4 T-Bird. Anyways, those are the 16 guys entered. Yes, you did not hear Levine racing in any of it. Because that's unlikely going to be the case for the rest of the season, with the exception of maybe Phoenix, the finale. We could see Matt Levine and specifically Cody Vanderwall, more specific, on the ladder. There'll be no reason why Levine and Vanderwall don't show up at the finale. It's a big race for Matt. He's an Arizona native. He's played a little big role bringing Phoenix back on there. And Phoenix has been confirmed that it will be back in 2020, as I mentioned in the last couple episodes. We will have an NBC Sports Quadruple Championship weekend. NBC Sports, you better book on it and show that race live somehow. Make it a big deal, because remember, Phoenix is now the home of the championship races for trucks, Xfinity, Can-Am West, and Cup. Why not? It's a good TV opportunity, if you ask me. Anyways, tomorrow we'll be driving the super late model race that follows the Can-Am West race that go deep into the night. Bearing weather, and yes, the good news is there will not be weather problems at this time being. It's going to be nice weather. So no rain, no worry about cancellations and rescheduling in that regard. So yeah, it's unfortunate for Van der Waal. He mentioned that he'll be focusing on racing at Colorado National Speedway, where it's a super late model, mostly the trucks. That's going to be his main goal, and hopefully he finds that elusive sponsorship that's pretty much put him out of the Can-Am West this season. 2020, we could see him back. And I would like to see him back, because I mentioned this. Not counting McAnally, not counting Sunrise Ford, the Bob Ricciardi squad. Cody Van der Waal is essentially the best of the rest of the field that actually could show up and prove to be a regular contender on a modestly consistent basis. It's just bad luck at the start of the season has not showed it. Last year he did show it. It's a damn shame that Van der Waal is not going to be around for essentially the rest of 2019. And here Matt Levine's 10 car. Because that's going to be, the field is going to suffer horrendously going forward. Because not counting this race at Evergreen, it's a pretty good sized field. 16, it's okay. It's an okay field. Imagine if they were around, it would be 18 cars. And then you have Gateway coming up. Without them, the field's going to suffer a little bit. And then after Gateway, then you have races at Meridian, you have Bakersfield, you have All-American in Oregon, and then the finale in Phoenix. Essentially, there's 6 more races to go. But after the back-to-back races at Evergreen and Gateway, there's only 4 more races left in the trail. Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. Not much time left. There's not much time left, and we'll see how these number of cars will look like without them. Williams at quite said it best. This is the kind of news I don't like tweeting or thread that I don't like discussing. Especially because it just tells us that we gotta hope and pray that we have good, healthy fields in 2020 onwards. Especially the Stock Car Invitational. But that could be a big question mark, because Sam Hunt Racing in the East Side mentioned it, that there's this battle, dispute whether or not the Ilmore cars will be better than the Yates built cars. And then Juan specified it in an article that Matt Weber wrote for Auto Week, where Sam Hunt essentially said if their cars are not capable with the more superior cars, it's the battle of Yates and Ilmore. They may have to shut down. This debate is not making this healthiness any better, the lack of health any better. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But they laid down the first law of key details of what they are going to expect in 2020 with ARCA, K&N, and then, of course, the Stock Car Invitational. So there's still a lot of puzzles with that going on. And there's still question marks of certain teams. Can they hang around much longer? Like Sam Hunt Racing, number 18. If you've not looked at their pit sign, go look it up. It's kind of, if you're a big Office fan, you'll get the reference. I've only seen season 8 of The Office when I went to San Diego to visit at a good friend of mine's house at a couple's house, of which they got married recently. Good stuff. I know once I see the whole thing, it'll be even better. Hopefully. Anyways. I will be at Evergreen. I will be covering the race at Evergreen. At DLT Files on Twitter. You'll see the photos. You'll see the live tweets. Maybe a couple more stuff then and there. I'm hoping to be there for the Friday practice sessions. And then, of course, the big one on Saturday. So you'll be seeing all of that. With that being said, the schedule is going to be drastically altered again. So, it may take time to do an Evergreen review. You will get a Gateway preview. You'll get raw thoughts of what went down in Monroe, like I did at Sonoma. but much better than it was when I explained to Nova. You get my thoughts of what happened at Evergreen, then you get the preview, and then the week after, you'll get the Evergreen highlights, and then hopefully, if time permits, or the week after, you'll get the Gateway highlights. I think that's the plan I'm going to go with. But yes, I'm going to be covering that. I'm also going to be hopefully try to focus on the one at Gateway, because of course, for the Motorsports Tribune, IndyCar is the main focus for me when it comes to Gateway. Just like it was at Sonoma, the Cup Series was the main focus. The Can-Am stuff will be just mostly photos and just do the live tweets when time allows, or based on where I'm doing or where I am. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the race at my home track. And that hype video, it may not come out right away. It may not come out till probably Saturday morning. We'll see. Or late Friday night. We'll see. I have an idea what I'm going to do with it. I'll have it done. I have the script written. I'll record it later this week. But I have a much better idea than just use footage from other people. And credited too, as well. Anyway, what else do I got? I think I pretty much covered everything regarding Evergreen. So yeah, that'll do it. That was the preview of the NAPA Auto Parts 150% by Ineos. More likely it could be the NAPA Auto Parts 175% by Ineos. But in other words, the race at Evergreen, my pick to win is going to be, I believe Zamora can do it. I believe it's going to be Zamora. Gotta watch Derek Kraus, how he will do. Can he get that redemption win that will give him a step closer to lock up the West? The dark horse contender, I gotta have to say it again. Dark horse, no! Let's go with Trevor Huddleston as the dark horse contender. And Devin Dodson may be the guy to watch. Just for the sake that, just keep an eye on Devin Dodson. He's driving the 27 car. I think he may do some good things. I can feel it. Anyways, that'll do it. Until we meet again, hopefully you enjoyed this preview. There'll be a lot of West Coast Wednesdays over the next couple weeks. It's not going to be sporadic like it's typically been because you got back-to-back races on your way. So in the meantime, catch you guys later. And keep up to date on my tweets at the LT Files for everything Evergreen and also everything Gateway. In the meantime, for real this time, catch you guys later.